Okay, so please have your servers running, SQL servers running. Please open up the file we were working on last week if this is the right one. Let me see. Let me pick up. Maybe not. So before I go on to complete, oops, sorry. Before I go on to complete updates and deletes on which we'll do an assignment today, I want you to look at what you did last week as an assignment. Shh, guys, please. So the in-class assignments, I'll pick up the solution. So you were given a script. All you had to do was put your name and date here. I had put in the comments for you the purpose. I'm trying to give you examples and I'm trying to tell you how to write your comments. Right? So, I mean, it's so easy in SQL and still people are missing it. But that's okay. That's up to you. My job is if I don't see them, I dock off marks. And I can't keep doing it, right? You know what I mean? I can't keep telling you this is how it has to be done. This is how it has to be done. I do it in class all the time. So please pay attention. Okay, so if you see marks have been deducted, you know something is wrong. And you figure it out yourself. If, what can I say in comments? If it is missing, it is missing. So this was a database on drinks. I had already given you the script and I said, please use my script so that, I mean, you could use yours, but this way you can't go wrong in any of these statements, at least till the insert. Now, they were almost all easy. All of you did a good job, almost, I think. I've seen a few scripts. I haven't marked them. I just saw them while I was in class. Anything starting with L, percentage only comes at the end. More than 15 carbs, these were easy. Now, when it says no calorie information defined, and if the word defined, I think, was not written with you, even that doesn't matter. I think I added it when I, no calorie information means it's undefined. Right? Zero is a calorie information. If I say number of calories are 0, I'm saying it has 0 calories. Water has 0 calories. Right? So when I say, and I said the hint, I said remember null, I even put that hint there so that you wouldn't go wrong. But if you haven't done it, that's up to you. Okay? So I said remember null. It's not necessary that I will say defined or undefined. So I said it in 4. I said select all drinks that have a defined cost. So as soon as you see the word defined, you know that she's talking about null and not. It's quite clear. But when I say no calorie information and I'm saying remember null, I'm kind of giving you enough. And in class, so many people asked and I still said it, and they're still wrong in my assignment. So take it as because this is just your assignment, you won't lose 100%. It would be a couple of marks for every query, but keep this in mind for the midterm. Okay, so don't make this mistake again. When it says no calorie information, and I'm not going to give you hints in the exam, of course I won't, right? That's not, I don't want to do it. So when I say no calorie information, that means there is no calorie information, it's null. So there is nothing there. You'll say, but you didn't have a field. You said calories were not null. Why should you bother with what is given? Look at the query and answer the query as to what the query asks. Right? You may be just given the query. So though the calorie says it is not null, you'll say, why is she even asking about this? Don't bother. Right? The aim is not to see, the aim is to see whether you can do it or you can't do it. That's what it is. So when there is no calorie information, doesn't mean calories are 0. That's a different part altogether. Remember, I said 0 is a defined value. It is a value. You may think 0 is nothing. We know 0 means nothing, but that's not what it is. Okay. So a field may have negative and positive values, and 0 is a valid value for it. So when I say no calorie information and I say remember null with it, I'm kind of making it so obvious. Then of course I'm looking for is null. And equal to null will get you a 0. Believe me. I mean, it has to be just answered correctly. Because if the answers are wrong, it's wrong. You know what I mean? It's wrong. The next one says select all drinks that have a defined cost. Now this was very clear. I'm using the word defined. I'm not even saying anything else. So as soon as you see defined or undefined, you know I'm talking about null. So it says it has a defined cost. That means the cost is not null. So these are the two which will be dicey if you haven't paid a lot of attention. Though again, I mentioned it so many times in class. The one that was causing problems was this one. In a few ways, I would kind of remove this because this is more. Yana was doing this, right? You've done it with this tilde. This is a, you know what it is, right? What kind of operator is this? The operator that you've used? What do I mean? What is the name of this operator? It is tilde, but what is it? It's not, I mean, what is its use? Why did you use it? Like how, what made you use it? Like or is an operator, and is an operator, not is an operator. Those are operators. So this is an operator too. What made you use it? Because I saw you using it. I'm just asking what made you use it? I know it works, but what made you use it? Where did you get this idea? Sorry?
I saw people use it before.
So you've seen it, you've used it before. So what is it? Would you like to explain? Like what was in your mind? I'm saying give me all drinks that either start from G, H, I, or till O. So what does that tilde means for you? Like you've used it before, that's good. So we haven't seen it, my students haven't seen it, so I won't even kind of discuss it right now. But what made you use it? Was there a reason? Like what did you think it meant? What does it
To
mean?
include the words that started with O.
Yeah, but that tilde, does it stand for, is it a wildcard character? I just saw you using it, so I'm asking, is there a reason why you used it? Do you know
Because
what?
I saw people using it. I knew how, like, I knew I could use it before.
Yeah, so what does it mean? Do you know what does it mean, that tilde? It's called tilde generally, but what does it use in SQL?
I don't think I can try.
Okay, okay. So it is actually the exclusive OR character, right? So I'll remove this till I kind of, we don't do bitwise operators. We don't, like it's nothing to do with us. We don't use bitwise. But if time permits, I'll do it. But bitwise operators is not something commonly we use. Like we work with numbers, but we don't work with bits, you know. So that will work, but I'll remove it for now because this is not the time which you may even understand what it means. So I can kind of ignore it. But let's look at something that will be very easy to follow, right? Now, the first one, most of you were going between G and O. You have to remember something. The between verb works like this. It says my first element is G, and then anything that is greater than G, go, God, good, anything that is greater than G. G1, G2, G3, but it starts at G and it stops at O. It stops at O, including O, right? So G is also included and O is also included. They're both included. It's like greater than equal to and less than equal to. That's what it means. Between means greater than equal to G and less than or equal to O. But I wanted you to use the between word. That's what I said. So now if you stop at O, the drink O will be included. If a drink is called O, it will be included, but nothing after that. O1, O2, oh my gosh, nothing will be included. So now some of you started doing this because that's what you thought, oh, O followed by anything. Right? But again, keep in mind, I pointed it out to some, but I'm again pointing it out here. This will not work because between is an exact match, greater than equal to and less than equal to. That's what it is. So putting a percentage will not make sense at all. Nothing will happen. There will be no difference at all. So what's the solution? The solution is, oh, I need everything, all drinks starting with O. So why don't I go till P? Right? Why don't I go? This was the most easiest solution that you could think of from what you know already. You'll say, let me go till P. Now, what is the extra drink that gets included here? There will be only one extra drink that gets included here. The one with the name P. Just the name P. Nothing else. No O, no pop, no pan, nothing. Just P. So all you do is you add an and condition and you say drink name should not be equal to P. I don't want to say, I don't want to see drink name not, like not. I don't even want to see that because there is only one extra drink that gets included here between G and P. And that's the drink by the name of P. And name, there is no drink called P, but that's not your job to think or not, right? You just want to exclude P. So all you do is you say and drink name is not equal to P. And it will work. This was the easiest one, something that you've done. You've done compound conditions, you've done all the operators, so you can do this, right? The other thing that you could have done is, if you wanted to sit with O, you can say or, okay, so the only one that doesn't get included is anything that is O something. Then you go or drink name like O%. Not and, or. You're saying, okay, every drink that starts with G, H, I, J, you stop at O because that is where you're going. Actually, you can even stop, no, you have to stop at O because you have to include before, M, right? And then you add another thing. You say, okay, and now I can't include the O drinks in between. So what can I do? Let me add another statement which says or drink name like O%. Remember, you can use percentages with like. This is the only place where you can use while not having this. The percentage and the underscore can only be used with like. They make sense only with like. And only text data can use it. We've already said we won't do it in dates and so on. That's another way of doing it. For now, please ignore this, right? This will work. And as I mentioned, I saw Yana doing it. But this is an exclusive or bit operator. Its working is very complicated. It's not easy to understand, like as if I was talking about numbers. I know it works because I've done more SQL than some of you maybe, so I know it works, right? But there is a concept behind it. It's an operator which is called an exclusive. It's a binary operator, right? Like the binary and then the binary where bits are ANDed or OR. So it will work. But the reason is not it just works. There is a reason behind it. There's a whole math behind it. So we'll leave all this. The next one that I did was this one. And again, this is just coming from experience. The experience says there are string functions in every language. Right? There are string functions in every language, whether it be SQL, whether it be Java, doesn't matter. There are string functions in every language. So why don't I say, pick up the drink name and then look at its leftmost. And remember, you can always use the manual. You're allowed to use the manual. Please don't go and look for solutions. That's the only thing I don't want you to do. Whatever you are doing, you should know what you're doing. So if I see something odd, which I haven't taught, or maybe I'll ask, I'll say, what does it mean? Explain it to me. So I need an explanation because you've used something different, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong in it, but I'm just saying, do you know what you're doing or did you copy it from the internet? Did you find it somewhere and you just copied it and you said, oh, it works? There has to be an explanation. There is an explanation of why this will work. There is, right? So what did I do here? I just said, take the leftmost. So string functions are available. There are so many string functions, not only left, substring, in string. There's so many string functions in SQL. So if you logically think about it, all I am saying is any string that starts from G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, right? So what am I looking for the first word as? Any of these. So I'm saying, okay, take the leftmost one character of your string name. So the left function takes two parameters. It takes the field on which you're working and how many characters are you looking at. You're looking at one character in your string name from the left. That is from the beginning. Right? And if it is between G and O, I'm still using between. Or everywhere I'm using a between. I said use between, I'm using it. And I say, okay, if it is between G and O, it works. So anything starting with O, whether it's O, O1, O2, oh my gosh, every oil, whatever, everything is between. So that's something that you could have done because it's just a string function. So I haven't seen all scripts. I don't know what has been done, but the first one, I kind of almost spelled it out for everybody. I said, go on one further and then remove what is extra. Right? And removing what is extra is very important. I don't want to see any likes at 81. The only extra string that gets included is the string called P, nothing else. So I added a P string in your data. It made no sense. I added those letters P and pop or pa, I don't remember what it was, so that you could see my results on that time. And I said, oh my gosh, it's not being included. So I made it very clear. So if you didn't get it, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, but now you know. Now you know for next time. Now you can kind of think this way. You say, oh, she used something like left. If there is a left function, there is a right, there is a mid, there has to be a substring. So just look it up. You can use manuals in your assignments. I've already said resources, anything we do in class, and the SQL manual. Similarly for Java, anything we do in class and the Java API. Yes.
So all these four options give you the same result.
Same result, yeah. They all work. Anything that you've done of these four, as I said, I'm not looking for the third one at all. It's not something you've done and something that it may not even occur to you because it's a bitwise operator. Right? But it's something different at all. So I'm not even looking for 3 at all. But if you've done it, I'll give you a mark. I mean, I'm not saying how did you do it, but you should know why you did it. What does it mean? What is it doing? How is it operating? What is the use of it? Like you have to know it. Otherwise, from where did you get it? Like that means it's not your solution if you don't know what it does. Right? So that's why I'm saying remove 3. I'm not even talking about it because it's not time yet to explain how it works. But if you want to go ahead and look in the manual, what does it mean, and kind of figure it out. Right? And I will, if I do it, I'll explain to you what it is doing. Okay? So anytime you have a doubt, open up the manual. Right? And manual has so many examples. The manual itself has so many examples. And you're fine using looking at that example. And if you've seen something before, you've seen an operator before and you think it will work, why not? Open it up and see what does that operator do? What does it mean? Can I use it? Right? So string functions is something that I'm expecting you to do. It's everywhere. What's the big deal in it? Okay, so use your experience in other programming languages. But 1 and 2, you didn't have even to think anything. We've done these two. We've done everything in these two in class. So if you couldn't think of 3 and 4, which is okay, that's perfectly fine. I'm not even expecting you to kind of at a time when you're maybe tensed, oh, I have to do the assignment or it is time bound. But 1 and 2, look at solution 1 and 2. They're simple. You should just know how between works. So I don't want to see any percentages. I don't want to see something that's wrong, though it works, I'll dock marks for it. MySQL just makes it work. Percentages cannot be used in between. They cannot be. Underscores, percentages cannot. Keep in mind, percentages and underscore are wildcard characters. You only use them with like. Because you're saying something like this. And that's what wildcard characters are. Something like this. Okay, that's what they mean. So that was the one that most of you or many of you were having a problem with. Similarly here, ICE is only Y and N. Why would you do something like this? Like, and you're saying percentage. I've said it is an enumerated data type. You don't peek in the data. I'm not even looking at the data at all. I'm not even looking at the data. I'm looking at its definition. You will always, you're fine looking at definition, which is okay, right? So it says Y and N, the only possible values and Y and N. Why would you do this? You'll say, what's wrong in it? It works. The problem is it's not efficient, right? It's not efficient. It will take more time. It's going to search, do something, go, are you N or are you greater than N? Whereas the equality always takes the minimum time. So keep that in mind if you haven't till now. So this was kind of saying, oh, you're overdoing it. You don't know what you're talking about. Why would you use like here? I saw a couple of students doing like N. I don't know why. It's an enumerated data type. The only values that can come in are Y, small y, N, and small n. Those are the only possibilities. So if I'm saying does not have ice, that do not have ice, all you have to say ice is equal to N. That's it. Okay. So keep in mind the wordings of your query, what I'm asking, and do it accordingly. The rest I don't know. I think the ins and outs I don't know about it, but the rest were okay. Most of you were stuck on 8. And I said it was a little dicey. And keep in mind, there will always be something dicey in your assignment or in your exam. Something that you will have to look up, put your brains to put things together and say, oh, this is how I can do it. There will always be. And you have resources. You have the manual. You'll always find a solution in the manual. You'll always find it. Right? So the only thing will be allowed, again, I'm repeating, in the exam, you can do your assignments. You can check whatever classwork we did. And you will be allowed to use the MySQL manual. That's the only, and Blackboard. No other internet access will be allowed. And I'll see that I know what you are accessing. You won't be able to do anything. So on the exam day, I'll have special instructions that this room be washed for internet access kind of stuff. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so that was, I'll kind of mark it. It's not a big deal. I'll mark it soon. I'm doing Java. You will have it, but it's not as if there was anything tough in it. The things that I wanted to lay emphasis on, I have. The null, the is not null, and then this is something that is different. Keep in mind, between says greater than equal to and less than equal. If you know that, you cannot go wrong, right? And we've done it in class. I've said replace this by between, and we've done it. So I never usually ask anything that I haven't mentioned or done. But there will always be a couple of dicey questions where you'll have to put your brains together. And it's not a big deal. You should be able to do it. Okay. Okay, so let's come back. Please open up the script that you were working on last week, which was called, and it will be on Blackboard, I think, also, if you don't have it from last week. So this is Wednesday. And week 4, there it is. This is the script we were working on last week. So I had added a few more select statements. We had talked about SQL updates equal to 0. For now, if you want, you can kind of just comment it out for now so that you will see why you need it. Right? So comment it out for now. It was already present. And let's see if you get an error. Versions change. Maybe last year it was required and now it is not required. Like SQL mode definitely was required last year. I know when I had I did it. I taught this course last year and now it's fine. So they've kind of set it in WAP. Okay. So we had done all this. We had talked about good names. We had talked about types. We had talked about what should be unsigned and so on. We have also talked about primary key already unofficially, but we know what a primary key is. Then we had put in some data. Please don't forget how to put in any special character in your text data. Just escape it or duplicate it. Okay. So don't forget this because you may be asked in the exam. And then the select clause we had completed. We did quite a few examples. Oh, before I forget, while I was looking at the manual, they have, this will work. Remember I said date is not text. Keep in mind, date is not text, it is a number. So you can, there are a few options which I didn't know. MySQL is different from standard SQL a little. Instead of dash, you can also use the slash. Slash also works if that is easier for you to understand. Slash also works here. You can even give your date like this and it will work. But of course, you can't say one a slash, one a dash. You use the same separating character. So you can use slashes, you can use dashes. You may not give any of them, nothing, no slashes, no dashes, write it as one number, either in quotes or without quotes, both work again in MySQL, right? But they've highly recommended that to kind of say that this is not text, to use the cast function. The cast function is written like this. It says it's even, I mean, though again, we are not making any mistake here. They're highly recommending to use the cast function, the normal cast, like in any other language. It says take this text field, that kind of, when you put it in quotes, it is assumed to be text, right? But there's some, this way you will not forget. You now know that that is a text, it's not a date. You know what I mean? So you have to be careful. So they're highly recommending that use the cast function to, whenever you are comparing with dates, you put cast, and then inside it cast just says what value are you casting as what you are casting. Now if you make a mistake, for example, instead of 1982, I just do a typo, 11982. I mean, I make a typo, it will catch it. It will just catch it. So they're highly recommending casting your data when you put it like this into date. So please see that you do it everywhere, since it is a recommendation which is highly, and I read a few more websites, and I thought, you know what, there's nothing bad in it at all. You can just do it everywhere where you know. This one is, yeah, it does work. Remember, it does work, but I said keep away from it. Maybe I should remove it. I should say just don't do it, because this is kind of saying, it's kind of comparing it with 1982. Let's see if I get an error. If I cast it as date, what does it do? I think it will make month and day as 00. That's what it does. That's its default. So I'm not seeing any syntax errors. I'll see what happens with this. So wherever you want to use anything that looks like this, please cast it. And that's a recommendation on the manual. There's a recommendation on many websites, and I don't see anything wrong in it. It makes complete sense to me. So wherever we've used it, oh, you know what? I should have just done a replace. But the dates are different. Oops. And there is a convert function also, but for this I'm using cast, but for your information there's a convert also. So all it is doing is like any casting function in any language. All it does is it takes the data, which you can kind of think of as text data, though we know it is not. But if I just write it like this, it is text data. If I just write it like this, it is text data. I could have said Anju inside it also. You know what I mean? It is text data. So it is kind of taking that data and converting it into a date. But keep in mind, dates are not text data. So this is a kind of something that will work in all databases, irrespective of what you're doing. So when you use something that's kind of standard, will work everywhere, then you don't have to worry at all. So use it as wherever, and I'll use it. I'll remember to use it everywhere. Oops. So it says take this and convert it into date. So cast simply takes data of one type and converts it into another type. I don't know if it is required here, because now it looks like a number. They're saying do it whenever you use, whatever format you use. As if you have to use it as a date, cast it as a date, because otherwise it looks like a number or text. In comparisons, in your selections and all that, not when you are giving your data, not in your data when you're inserting, not then, when you do this. So let's see if it runs. I'm going to give it a run once, just so that I can do it. So if there is anything else we've used in date, please see that. I don't think so. These were the only dates ones we've used. So all I've done is I've used the cast function. So somebody was asking me the other day, can we use something else but the dash? MySQL allows you to use the hyphens, the slashes. And I think you can use any character as long as you're consistent, though colons can also be used. I think, if I remember, I'm not very sure, so I won't take my say on it. But I think in the manual I read you can put in anything. For me, dashes and slashes make sense because that's how we use it. Or you can put it as a number. like I did here as a number. Whatever you like. You can even put this in text and this will still work without dashes and without slashes. Even this works. So whatever you want to do, I leave it to you. But be consistent, please. Because it's good for you too, in the sense that it will make sense. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to run it once. We knew it was running last week, and then I'll pick up the date one. I want to see if it gives me an error on when I'm casting only 1982 as 2. No, it's not. Now I'm only going to pick up this one. This is the only dicey one I'm kind of it's not giving any syntax error. But sometimes, as I said, it works, but it's not the right way of, oh, here. See, there it is. I don't see a result. That kind of tells you not to use 1982. Remember, I was mentioning last time, because 1982, 19821 is also greater than 1982. So it's got that, which is good now. Since you casted this as a date, and now if you only run this, try running all three. Then you will know what is working and what is not. So till here, all three. Okay, let's run this. Only these three. Okay, so I have answers here. These people were appointed in, what was it? Greater than. People who were appointed in more than 1982. So the answer is right. 82, 83, 82. That answer is right. Still the answer is right. Notice the third one. See, it doesn't work. Now it makes more sense saying don't use it. That way you know not to use it. So what has cast done? If I wasn't using cast, see, now what has cast done? I'll remove it for a minute. I'll just say 1982 like we had written. So now this is kind of taken to be text because 1982 is text, right? And let's only run this query. See, now it works. So by putting cast, you have kind of double checked that you don't make a mistake. So if you remember last week I was saying, though it works, it's greater than 1982, but 19821 will also work because you're just comparing with text. So don't go that route. Even 19 something. So this way we are safe now. We can do it. So remove it now. Please remove it. Now you know it doesn't work. Remove it. Just remove it from your files. I wouldn't like to see it at all. So you can, if you like, you can say this will not work. Because you are using an invalid date. If you want to keep it for yourself, sure. You can leave it. So the first one works, but as soon as I cast it, it doesn't work. So that makes sense now. Definitely, I would like you to use the cast now everywhere you use dates. You'll never go wrong. So if you made a typo or you're trying to be smart or anything greater than 1982 means the person was appointed after that, it will be caught. You won't get an answer. So it runs, but the answer was an empty table, which is incorrect. Right, so you can keep it where I said this will not because you are using an invalid date. So if you want to keep it, sure, keep it. That way you will know that it will work. Okay, and there is the note. And again, I've already done this, but I've put it in comments. I don't want to see anything like this in your dates. I don't want to see it because that's not how you work with dates. And I'm sure as if I do a cast here, this will also stop working. You can double check now. Let's try. If I use a cast here, this will also not work. So try. I mean, it's so silly, but anyway, I mean, it's really silly. I mean, it's even looking silly how I'm doing it. How can it cast something with the percentage to date? But anyway, here. So before, let's see what the answer is for people who were hired in only 81. Okay, so here are people who were hired in 81. Only in 81. Okay, so these people were hired in 81. I get an answer. Right? So this is right. Now let's try the one that I've done with cast, and that's an odd date. See, it looks so silly now. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It should not work now. There, it doesn't work. So it is a mistake. You know, it's not the right way of doing it. So it works because it just said 1981 percentage, and you are doing a text comparison. And when you do a text comparison, it just takes, oh, that's text. So 1981, anything, dash or whatever after it, anything will work after it, as long as it starts with 1981. But you would, in your data, you could have something called 1981, 01010, who knows what. So this way you are safe, right? So now even if you do it, you will catch yourself. You'll catch yourself that, oh, that's really silly to use because this cannot be casted as a date. So I know the first one was working, but this will not work. So you can again make a note. I'll leave it for you. And again, I'll do what we had done before. We'll do the like. But now you know why I'm kind of emphasizing it's not the right way, because the casting gives you no result. So you can put this in comments. I definitely don't want you to use it. There. So that definitely you should not even try using it, but I've proved to you that if I use casting, it will give me an image. So that tells you it will not work. So do the right thing and you don't have to worry about what will it work or will it not work. You know what I mean? Then you don't have to worry about it. If you go the right way, you don't have to worry that will it work or will it not work. Okay, so that's taken care of dates. But casting is something I saw and I wanted to bring it to your attention, and I'm glad I did because it's important that you don't make any mistakes. Okay, let's come to update now. Let's start updates. Now, what is update? As the verb suggests, as the command suggests, update means to change the data in place. The data, not the table structure. You're not talking about table structure. That's entirely a different thing. It's an altered table statement. You're not changing the structure of the table. You are updating the data in the table. So there are already records in the table and you want to change something in the data. For example, maybe an employee's address has changed, maybe his designation has changed, who knows, like so anything. Okay, so that's an update, and it can be done in many ways. And I'll do a few examples with you here. Okay, so here is the format. It says update. The verb is called update, or the command is called update. SQL commands are called. The name of the table. What are you trying to change? You are saying set. Set means change. Okay. Column name. Which column are you trying to change, and what is the new value you want to give to it? And you can have as many as you like. So maybe name is this. Age is this. So you can change more than one columns at a time. You only use the verb set once. Okay, you don't say set this, set this, set this. You don't use the verb. So notice how I've put a comma here and then I've said it is optional. So you can have as many column changes as you want in the same one set statement. And of course you can give a where condition, and I don't want to change every record. I want to change only those records that satisfy this condition, and limit how many, or you can use limit how many. I want to change something in the first 10 records. I want to change something in records 10 to 20. So you can add your limit statement. Okay. There is no sense of order by here. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Order by is only makes sense when you want to display something. So this is the format. Anything in square bracket is optional. And when you see dot, 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 it can mean more than one. Okay. So now let's start. Now, a new verb for you, describe. You can write the full word describe if you want, or you can write the first four words. So this actually stands for describe. That's its full form. When you describe a table, let's just pick up this statement. The script has already run, so it's okay. When you describe a table, please notice what comes in the table. It is describing you the structure of the table. So if you don't have it from anybody, of course, you don't know what it is. But you're given this is the database and this is the table name, and you want to see what are the names of the fields and what is the type and so on. Just describe your table. Remember, this is not select. Select selects data. Describe is describing the table. Here are your fields. These are your fields. Here are the types that you gave it. Is it null or not null? Not null, not null, not null. Yes, it can be null. Here is the default value, if any. Remember, there was clerk and 0. Anything extra will come here like unique and so on, if it is offered. And notice how it says PRI for primary key for the employee number. This is called describing the table. You can use describe if you like, or you can use desk, the first 4 words. Like in ascending and descending, you can use the first 4 letters or you can use the whole word. Okay, it is allowed. You can just do that. Okay, this is describing the table. So if you don't have no clue, all you were given is this is the database name, this is your table name, please do these update statements, and you have no other clue what it is, you can always describe the table. You can always select data from the table. So you can always look at it. Okay, now let's look at update statements. Notice what I've given you already is I've written a select before I do the update, and I've written a select after I do the update to see have things changed or not. That's the only way I can test. Oops. That's the only way I can test whether things are working or not. Otherwise, how will I know? Was the data updated? So look at the question. Update Turner's commission to $400. So when you looked at your describe table, look at what commission is. Is it what kind of field is commission? Commission is a decimal. It is a number, an unsigned number. Okay, so I don't have to use the dollar sign. Keep in mind. How will you update? Write your update statements. Update. Name of the table. What do you want to do? You want to change or set. What do you need to set? Commission. Now you'll have to know the names of the field for sure, right? So that's why this describe is handy, so that you don't have to kind of say, oh, what is the name of the field? So there it is, commission. I know it is commission. Okay. And what do you want to set the commission to? 400. Now, if I stop here, what will it do? What will this update statement do? It will update every record. That's not what you want. You only want to update who? Commission for Turner. Okay, so please add a where condition. Where employee name is Turner. Make sense? There it is. That's the update statement. And what does it do? Like normal English update, it says update my table. What do you want to do? I want to change a column name. You'll always update values in a column. That's how you change rows. I mean, you can say update row 5. You can't do that. There's no option. The set has a column name and the new one. And then where condition if you need it. If you don't need it, that's fine too. So if you don't have the where condition, it will update commission to 400 in every record in the table. But I said only for Turner. So you'll know that Turner is the name of the employee and you will say where employee name. So now pick this up. So this is before and after. Okay. Pick this up, all these three, and run them. Okay. So, some error. Here, there it is. Good. Notice I have an error. What does it say? It says you are using safe update mode and you try to update a table without a where. So it's kind of saying you can't update it. Something is not set properly. And this is why I needed that so that means the new version of I'm having problems for sure. So the problem is not big. All I have to do is I'll say, okay, please set SQL safe updates to 0. That's why that statement is required. It didn't allow me to do update. So I had an error. So when I tried to use the update statement, I had an error. So if you're using DreamHost or XAMPP, I'm not sure about it, but I needed it, so I've done a set. So again, keep in mind, I'll put my set statements so that they're always there so that you can see them if you need them. I may not need them. I don't need these strict all tables. Now run it again. So instead of running everything again, because it makes a mess, we'll go and only run the one that we made change to. So select the employee before, update his record, and then show the record again. I still have an error. Control S. Oh, I can't only run these three because I made a change and I have to rerun the whole script. Or the first few parts. I shouldn't now. Let's see. Okay, now let's just pick up these three. No, I'm okay. Shouldn't have. Did you write your set statement properly? Maybe you missed something in your set statement, though I gave it to you. Set SQL underscore safe underscore updates equal to 0. Is that it? So what is the error? Read your error. Bring your mouse to the error. What does it say? Yes, okay, there, right? Always bring your mouse to the error and see what is wrong. Yes.
And we're using the strict row tables because I have a yellow triangle for it.
That's a warning. That just says you don't need it, maybe. Yellow is a warning, okay? You can ignore it. Though always read what it says. I mean, if it makes sense, you can ignore it.
Yeah, I'm trying to read it.
Okay, so that's very important, guys. If you don't read your errors or warnings, you know, at the end of the day, you won't be able to figure out what's going on. So highly recommended, read your warnings and errors and see that definitely errors you have to take care of. Warnings, if you can ignore, then you can just ignore them. But sometimes the warnings are also saying something that you must pay attention to. So always bring your mouse over. Okay, so there it is. Does that make sense? Try the next one. It says change the job description of all analysts to market analyst. So anybody who's an analyst becomes a market analyst. So let's update. What do we want to update? the table. What do you want to do? You want to set. What do you want to set? The job description. And what is the new job description? The new job description is the analysts become market analysts. That's the new job description. But for everybody, no, only where people are analysts. It's just like normal English, like you would say normal English. Update my table, set the column to the new value for all those people who already had job description as analysts. So it says change the job description of all analysts to market analysts. So I've kind of given you the two values, exactly how I want. So you don't have to worry. Oh, is there something called Anna with a percentage? Don't worry. If my question is complete, you don't even have to think about it. And which is what it should be. My questions will be complete so that you know exactly what I'm asking for. Make sense? Again, try these. So every market analyst now will become any analyst will now become will become a market analyst. So notice how before I looked for, then I'm now looking for market analyst because these are the same person. There will be no analyst left after I change his or her job description. If I try to find out only analysts, it will be an empty table. Because once you change from analyst to market analyst, will there be somebody with the job description analyst? No. So find analysts, change them to market analysts, and then see, are those the same persons? Okay. An error somewhere because I see two tables. No, that's fine. Two tables. Sorry. Update will never give you a table. So these were the persons who were analysts. So who was it? Scott and Ford were analysts. Notice in the description, analysts. I updated the table and I did a select again and they have become market analysts. Remember, update doesn't give you a result. That's why I'm using select statements to see the table before I do an update and after I do it. Else, how will I say? How will I know whether it worked or not? And you will have to do it yourself. You have to. I won't give you those select statements. You will say, oh, did it work or did it not work? Update itself doesn't give you an answer. If you only do update, it is not showing you anything. It does its job. Though you can make, you know what, you can kind of do an educated guess. If I execute it, it will say zero rows were affected. Why? Because there is no market analyst now. So you can kind of read from the result, but the best way to do is who are the analysts? Have they been changed to market analysts? So you will have to do this yourself. I've done it for you because I didn't want to waste time typing it in class. But here to check if an update statement works, is something that you will have to do yourself. If you can read here and understand it, good. Otherwise, show the tables. And don't show the whole table because tables are big. I'm only interested in analysts. So pick them up, show their records, change them, show their records again. That tells me job has been done. Okay. Now, it says update all null commissions to 0. So try again. So do what? Update again. So all commissions that are null have to become 0. That's what it is saying. Read the question. The question says update all null commissions to 0. So update the table, set commission to 0. Of whom? Of all those people where the commission was already null. So how do I say commission equal to null or commission is null? Is null. Don't forget this. If you forget your is and not is with null, nothing works. Syntactically it is okay. Logically it is incorrect. It won't work. Okay, so with null and is null, keep that in mind. Don't forget. So all you're saying is all who had null commissions. So all who had null commissions change their commission to 0. That's all you have to do. Easy, right? So again, check. So these people had null commission. I don't even know if somebody had null commission. I have no idea. So we'll just run it. So anybody who had null commission, nothing, which is okay. Don't worry about it. That's fine. Your query is not wrong. It is not. So you'll say, oh, can I check? Sure, you can go and check, but I know it is right. So I'm not going to check, right? Okay, now what is the next one? It says update Miller's hire date to January 25, 1982. So his hire date needs to be updated. So maybe he was on, I don't know, a temporary one or sessional or something. Now he's permanent. So what do you have to do? Okay, so we have to set the hire date as this. Oh, now keep in mind, we just learned about the cast. Okay, so don't forget that. Set the hire date to, so So it's up to you how you want to use it, as a dash, as whatever you like. So this is 25th of January 1982. So 1982 month and 25th of January. And don't forget your as date. That way you're safe, absolutely safe. For whom? Miller. So your where condition is his name, right? Employee name is Miller. There. I want to update Miller's hire date to 25th of January 1982. So please use the cast function with all your dates now. That way you are safe in the sense you cannot make mistakes. And it is highly recommended and it is logically making sense to me. I don't know why I didn't think about it last week, but it's logically making sense now, right? So you're saying take this text and change it into date. That's what you're doing. Remember, this is just text. Just writing it in the right format does not make it date. It doesn't make it a date, right? So now when you pick this up, if you've written it correctly, either of the formats, dashes or slashes or without dashes or right as a number, if you've written it correctly, YYYYMMDD, it will do the required thing. And if you've made a mistake, it won't do it. So you're safe. If I make a mistake, it won't do it. So let's try now. Take Miller, we don't know what his hire date was. We will know now in a minute, in less than a second. So this was Miller before, and he was hired on 23rd of January, right? I changed it, and now I've changed his date to 25th of January. So it has been done. Okay. Now, if by any chance you had made a mistake here and you had used the cast function, you are safe. It will not change it. It will not update it. So when you look at it again, you'll say, oh, why didn't it change? That means you made a mistake. So now we know that we have to cast your text or your number as date before we put it in a date field. And do it. Now just do it. Take it as a rule. Instead of highly recommended, just take it as a rule. Okay, so now when I give you an assignment, I'll say, please cast data to dates where required. So that will become a requirement so that you don't forget. Any requirement will have marks. Make sense? So all I did was I set his hire date. Okay, let's go to the next one. Stop me if anything is not working or you don't understand anything so that you don't get stuck. Now it says update Martin's information. He is now a manager and will not have any commission. So now you're saying will not have any commission. So not have any commission. That means commission is null. You have to set it to null. Or the question would say, and set his commission to 0. Remember now, commission was a not null field, was it? Look, the description has gone. I should always keep the describe open. So again, we don't have to worry about it, but as long as we write it correctly, commission is not null. Default is 0. Okay. Let's do it. Do it as if we have no clue what the data is. We'll just do it as if normal. We are doing a normal. Okay, so let's update again. And this is Martin's information. So I'm kind of going to cheat a little from here so that I don't have to type everything and put it here. Okay, so we want to Martin's. So his name is Martin. So let's change that first. Okay, so that's done. What do we want to do? He's now a manager. So definitely if he's a manager, his job description is now set to manager. Right? And so we don't say and or anything. We put a comma. When you have more than one fields to set, just put a comma. Don't use the set verb again, guys. It's incorrect syntax wise. So what is your second field you want to update? Commission. And he says will not have a commission. So we can say now, we can say and commission is null. Or now it depends how the question has been asked. If you want to say that commission is 0, we can say commission is equal to 0. And will not have a commission or any commission depends on the question now. So don't worry about if it says like, like what happened to him. So you can say is, now let's see if this will work. Because is and not is done in comparison and I want to assign a value. Okay, so null is a reserved word. This is not a comparison, guys. This is not a comparison. This is setting a value. So you use equal, normal equal. But don't put null in quotes. Now this will give me a problem. Why? Because the field is not null. Will it give it a default value? I don't. Let's try. Let's try. But here you don't use is or not is because here you're doing an assignment statement. In conditions, when you check, it is and not. I don't know what it will do. I'll have to see myself. Let's see. The field is not null and the default is 0. Do we have a syntax error? No, there are no red squigglies at all. Let's try. Let's see what employee has right now. Martin. Let's pick up Martin's record. He has a commission of 1400. He has a commission of 1400. Let's see what it does. I'm only going to run update because I want to see if there is a syntax error in it. Because remember, sometimes the syntax, there it is. There it is. Yep, so you can't set it to null at all because it is a not null field. You can't. It is a not null field. I'm going to try something. I'm going to change it from null to not null to prove to you that this is an assignment and you require equal. And don't put null in quotes, guys. This is not null. This is a text null, which is different from the reserved word null. So you don't do it because I don't want you to change the, or if you want to, it's up to you. It's not a big deal. I'm going to change that definition of not null for my commission. Where is it here? I'm going to remove this. So it can be null now. Let me see what happens. Oh, I'll have to run it again, the whole thing, because I've changed the definition. Or I could only run the create table command and insert. Okay, so it runs. There are no errors. Now come to the one we were doing. I want to show you that it will change. Where it is? Where is it? Update, 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 update. Set, set, set. There it is. Okay, pick up these three now. So Martin before, Martin afterwards. Okay, so no syntax errors and it works. So to assign the value, use the equal to operator. To check, use is and not is. Please don't forget it. This is assignment. Right? This is an assignment. So if you want to make a note for yourself, make a note for yourself, please. It says assignment will use equal. Right? Comparison will use is and is not. I mean, it's logical. This is an assignment. So you're going to use the assignment operator. So it works. I've changed my definition from not null because I wanted to show you that it works. And I want to show you that this doesn't work. So let's try it again. I'm going to change this to is, which is really silly. Hopefully I'll get a syntax error. There is a syntax error right there. You can do this here. I'm not comparing it. I want to assign it. I didn't even have to run it. It gave me a syntax error straight away. Because set says assign this value to your field. So here is and not is don't make sense at all. Yes, Bradley.
So did you change the commission back to?
No, I didn't. No, I'll leave it because it's showing me a result, right? I'm working with it. It's fine.
Well, I'm having trouble running my code and I read the error.
What does it say?
Database employee dot table underscore employee 3 doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist? So did you use a wrong table name here by any chance in your update statement?
No, I'm not sure.
Because if it says doesn't exist, the table doesn't exist.
Because basically I ran over the drop table that exists, tried to create this table, then I was scrolling over.
We didn't have to do this. That's okay. Just run the whole script. It's more easy. Okay, so what do we have?
Table employee already exists, so I need to drop it.
So do you have a drop statement?
Yes.
Do you have a drop database statement?
Drop database, yes.
So where's the drop statement?
So, do you want me to?
Just say drop table, let's see. Now let's see. Yeah, run the whole, remove your mouse from, don't highlight it. Okay, now run the whole screen. It's really strange, but it's in the select clause as date. Okay, which one is that one? Pick up, which one is that? It says select employee name and hire date from this where date is 1982. Oh, this is the error where, okay, you have, I commented it out. You have something in the script. Okay, come down to this sign over 13 or 4, somewhere. Come down in your selects. Stop. You see red squiggly somewhere. I saw it. Come down slowly now. It's here. Where does your red process stop? There it is. Okay. So, okay. Again, a use statement. Why?
So I can keep tracking, get rid of the table so I can see clearly.
No, why the use statement again I'm asking? You already have a use statement up there. Don't you have a use statement in your?
Yeah.
Then why it's not needed?
I was trying to keep track, and it was the only way to get this to.
Okay, I'll look at it in the break. I don't know what you did. I had commented that out. The error I see is in this statement, and you've done more things that I haven't, so I can't just look at it and tell you what is wrong.
Multiple use database statements.
You only do it once. There's no sense of keeping you.
Yeah, I understand. I was just trying to follow along because I need to view the table as well.
I'll look at it afterwards, please, Bradley. I'll do it in the break after I've done what I have to do. Then I will, because it's something that you've created, and I can't look at 100 lines together and find out the error in a minute. I don't know why it says the table doesn't exist. Okay, let's kind of complete this so that I can. Okay, so this works. Keep in mind, this is an assignment statement. To assign a value, you say equal to null, and to check a value, you say is null and not is null. Guys, please update all records, add 500 to all commissions. Add 500 to all commissions. It's not saying replace it by 500. When all records are to be updated, you don't require a where clause. Okay, so what do? I say update my table and then set what? Now do what? Take your commission. And it says do what? Add 500 to all of them. So take the previous value. Assignment statement always works from right to left, and add 500 to it. And there it is. Right? So you can use the same field on both sides. It's just a normal update. It says add 500 to all commissions. So pick up the old value of commission, add 500 to it, and put it back in the commission. Do I need a where clause? No. All commissions have to be updated. It will automatically ignore the ones that are null. It doesn't do any math with null. Null means ignore it. Remember, it is not defined. Let's try it. So let's try this first, only the first one. And look at the commissions to give you an idea. So those are the commissions. Martin has commission as null. Remember, we just set his commission to null just in the previous query. So here are the commissions. There are people with zeros. There are two with 300, 400, 500. Everybody must become at least 500. There are so many zeros also. Now let's update, and the null will be ignored. Okay, so now update your table and select it again. And the new table is exactly what I was saying. So anything 0 has become 500. The 300 has gone to 800, the 400 to 900, the 500 to 1000, and the null is completely ignored. It doesn't take part in the calculation at all. It's an undefined field. But if I had a 0 there, it would go to 500. It has gone to 500 for all zeros. So please understand, keep this in mind. 0 is not null. It is a value. It is a valid value. 0 is a valid value. Okay, so that works. So now you've seen set with one field. You've seen set with two fields. You've seen set with the same field on both sides. Just changing a value. It's just a change. Now it says update the first two records, set commission to 0. So the first two records, I want to set it to 0 again. So it will be very similar to this. All I have to do is what? What should I do? Set the commission to 0. But for whom? The first two records. What do I do it? Well, how do I do it? Use the limit. Use the limit, right? So limit. Remember, there was a limit option. So you can go 0, 2, but since these are the first two records, only 2 will also do. So the offset is not required if you are doing the first some records. And if that makes more sense to you, you can write it this way. Whatever makes more sense to you. What isn't it like? What isn't it like? Have I forgotten my... No, I haven't. That's strange, right? What is it trying to say? Limit 0, 2 will work, should work. I don't know. Let's try. I don't know. Doesn't look like, I don't know why it's not doing it. So the first two people, King and Blake. You have an error in your syntax. That's all it says. Near 2. What have I done? This was okay. As soon as I put a 0, isn't it 0, Yeah, it is, right? 0, 2, the offset, the syntax in MySQL.
Let's says syntax error, comma is not valid input at this position.
But why not? Okay, let me see then. We have something here. This one works. Okay, look at the updates. The syntax I gave you for update. That means you can't use an offset in update. Oh, here, sorry. It only says how many. You can't use an offset in limit. You can't. It just says how many. So you can only update the first whatever number of records. It's not allowed. It's syntactically it is not allowed. I can do nothing about it. Like it's not logical. The syntax says you can only mention how many. You can't say offset comma how many. The limit that we used in the select clause was offset comma how many, if you remember. But here the syntax says you can only mention how many. So that's a restriction with update. You can only update the first whatever number of records. You can't change the offset. You can't even say 0 comma. The syntax is right there. So syntax wise it is not. So you can't say, okay, update the records from 10 to 20. I can't do it. With limit, I cannot do it, of course. Like the other things, we'll have to do something. And what will be the other thing? I'll take those first, I can take some records, create a temporary table with it, update them there, and then push them back. So there's always a way of doing it, but the limit function will not allow you to do it. So therefore, it was giving that comma, and it said comma was not allowed here. It is not. So you can put a note for yourself. Offset not allowed, you can say. There has to be a reason, always. There it is. Offset is not allowed. Okay? So keep that in mind. It's different from your syntax in select. I can do it. So this will only do the first 2 records. So, and they were done. So the first 2 are, what did we do? Commission to 0. There they are. King's and Blake's commission have gone back to 0. So it is working. Now let's do some deletions. And look at the delete verb. It's simple. Delete from the table name and the condition. What does delete do? Delete records from the table. So it's easy, right? Yes.
So how you have Kings and Blake, right?
Yeah.
I have Smith and Allen.
Right. That's okay.
That's fine.
That's fine. So did you put it in a different order in your data insert? Shouldn't, because I think I gave you the script, right?
Yeah, you gave us because Allen, Blake, Kings, Allen, is that?
Oh, that's again proving it, and your exam is just behaving. Remember, I said the order of rows is indeterminate. That's what it is. The order of rows, how they come, is indeterminate. And we have an example here. Noah's first 2 records are not in the same order that he inserted. He inserted it in the same order that I did, but his first 2 records are different. And I repeat, I'm glad that things are coming up, not in WAM, but in something else. I repeat, the order of how records are displayed is indeterminate. How you insert it and how you see them will be indeterminate. But it has done its job. However, it had stored it, it made the first 2 as 0 and 0. So it's kind of not very useful if I really wanted to kind of think of the first 2 as I had inserted. Right? It's not useful. So you can always say, you can put this note wherever you like. You can put a note, you can always offset an option not allowed. You can say, remember, the order of rows is indeterminate. And that's what it is. It is. If you read manuals or if you kind of go and Google, it will tell you. They are. How it displayed is different from how it is inserted. So basically, so display can be different. Maybe I'll ask people who work in the web, what do they do about it? Like, is there a solution? Like, you could ask Rich about it. I don't know, or Jared about it. Maybe I will, because it is indeterminate. We know it. But suppose we don't want it to be, like we want to have some control over it. Then what do we do? I don't know. No. I'll try to ask it and find out, because I don't do so much, like I don't work as per se like this. Maybe they have a better idea because they work with different types, different servers also, right? And they use SQL all the time, all the time. So we see a different answer for Noah, but that's as long as the first two records are 0, it's doing its job. That's what you told it to do. You said limit 2, it took up the first two, it just changed the order, which is indeterminate. Okay, now let's delete, and delete is really easy. Again, in delete, how will I know something works? I'll have to do a selection before, I'll have to do a selection afterwards. Okay, so the syntax is really easy. All you say is delete from. Shh, guys, please. It says Adam has left the company. Adam's delete his record. So you'll say delete from the table name. And you put a where condition. If you just leave it like this, all the records are deleted. This is not same as drop table. Drop table will delete the records and also delete the existence of the table. The table will also go away. So there won't be an empty table, but this one it will result in an empty table. So if I say delete from table, all the records are removed, the table still exists. It is an empty table. Okay, but that's not what I want to do. I want to say where the employee name is Adams. And it will delete it. Adam's record will go. So we have Adam's record, we know it. Where is he? Where is Adam? For me, he's the second last record before Miller. So if I run these three statements, gone. He was there before, he's gone now. Proves Adam is gone, I can't find him. Okay, so that's the delete work. Now it says delete the rec. Okay, so please do a cast. Please change my script to. I'm going to stick to this. I don't know, as a programmer, why didn't I think about it? So it says delete the records of all employees who joined the company in 1982. Right, that's what it says. So I'm going to take this and copy it here. I've shown you all people who joined in 1982 before and then after I deleted. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to delete from the table everybody who joined between this date. What happened to the delete? There. So show the table before people who joined in 1982. We already know how to do that select clause, right? Between this and this. So from 1st of January 1982 to 31st of December 1982, between verb will include both dates. These are the people who joined the company in 82. We want to delete all their records. It's the same condition. You're not learning anything new in the conditions. You can still use everything that you've learned in the conditions. That's with select will also happen here in your conditions. Conditions haven't changed. Ands, or, nots, relational operators like, equal to, not, everything will work. The condition remains the same. So people had joined in 82. We know, I remember there were 2 records of 82 when we were doing that date. Okay, so do a run. And here are people who joined in 82. So those are the 2 people who joined in 82. I deleted them and I said, now get them again. Of course, I won't get them. There is nobody in 82. So it works. Right? Let's look at the next one. Delete the first 5 records. Now here again is a limit problem. It could be any 5 records now, as long as they're the first 5. So what will we do? We'll say delete from the table name. And let's see, what does limit want? Is offsets allowed? I'm not sure. We'll look at the delete format. Did I give you a delete format? Oh, I only said where condition. Okay, so I'm not sure. We'll have to double check. Let's see. The 0,5 works or not? No, it doesn't work. So only limit how many? Yeah, so we can't do an offset here. So can you add this to your script, please? In your delete, please add where and add limit. Add the word limit. Limit is allowed, but only with how many? Offset is not allowed. Same as in update. You can't give an offset. You cannot. The 0, was giving me an error. So please add this to your format in the delete. So you can use limit. Limit is okay, but you can't say 0, you can't use an offset. You can't do this. As soon as I did this, I got an error. So this will delete the first 5 records. I'm not sure what will happen in cases. For me, we'll pick up this one and do it and then remove it. Okay, so there it is. The first 5 records for me are at least King, Blake, Clark, Jones, and Martin. and they should all go. Right? So your sequence could be different from mine. As long as it is deleting the first 5 records, we are okay. As long as it is deleting the first 5 records, we are okay. So keep in mind that the limit cannot work with an offset. And of course, this one, if you do this, which I beware you because it's all gone, but we can always get it back, deletes all records. No where condition, no limits, will delete all records. So if I run this, all my records will be gone. I'll have an empty table. You can do a select for yourself, or maybe I've added one, I don't know, and see how it works. So we'll take this select again. And since we have the script and it's a small one, it's not as if we are trying to delete trillions of records and adding them again. And it's all time bound. I'll do this. My table will go. There's nothing in my table. That's drop table. That's drop table, right? Removing the table is drop table. We did that. That's okay. Sometimes it just not include, and then it just comes, right? Like drop data. And that's the difference between drop the table and delete. So here the table still exists. How will I prove it? Describe your table. If the table still exists, you can describe it. If the table doesn't exist, it will give me an error, right? Because it will say table does not exist. Describe it. Just do this. And I haven't done anything. I haven't run my script again. It's done. My table is empty. There it is. So the table exists. It's an empty table. Whereas if I had done drop table, then the table would go. And then if I try to describe it, it will say table does not exist. That's the difference. So the drop table drops the table. Of course, the data is gone. It's gone. You don't have to first delete and drop. But if I say delete, then I'm basically removing data from my. That takes care of updates and deletes. So we'll take a break here. A 20-minute break, please. Come back. I just want to do a little more, something more before I give you your assignment. I want to talk about the primary keys a little, though we've been using it. We've always used a field of the table. We've never kind of used an auto increment, and I want to show you how to use an auto increment primary. And then I'll give you your assignment. Okay, so the assignment will be on updates and deletes. What we've done. Let's take a break. Come back by 1:40, please. Yes, Bradley. Have you figured that out, or are you still on it?
No, I was trying to figure out how to run things because I didn't want the error to conflict with. So, you want to run from the
No. Let's go up. The first few statements.
I want to go back to the first mistake.
Up. Did you drop the database? He doesn't like semantics. That's one. I don't know, it doesn't like symbols as far as I know in your sense. Is the 0 in, did you put that SQL save updates or is it 0? So drop it, use it, and drop. We don't need this if you're already dropping it. I can record.
This is T.
Yeah, but when you drop a database, everything goes, the table also goes out. When I drop the big box, people who are using green host memory because they can't create and drop it. They will not. We don't need it here. Okay, so let's see if we can create your table. So we'll do it.
I mean, I have it.
Yeah, but the table, it has been dropped. I want to see where the problem is, so I'll run it in parts. Okay, so we are okay here. Okay, so we are fine. So now the database exists and the table exists. Now let's try to insert lines. That's the only way we can check what's going on, right? Okay, so that's working. So that means the problem has started somewhere where you have this table.
But I'm not here. But I'm not
Okay, let's try to run this way. Does it say something else? So we can, why do you get this red? If they're not, if something is not on, why do you get it?
It just happens occasionally.
Occasionally.
Yes,
Okay, now we have a problem. Okay, so where does the problem? The problem started from here. The problem is here. There is no table called table by 3. Here. Okay, try again now. Just run these. I don't know. You must have tried it. Just run this. So we are okay till, can I take it again? So we are okay till where? We were okay till, I think we are okay till where? Let's try to run it again.
Already completed the training mode.
Okay, so we're having, cast is, yeah, so somewhere now in the cast problem. Cast.
You can't talk about the 1981.
Okay, so 1981, so not that one, not that one. It's very strange, how do you
Talk
find
about the yellow, golden yellow.
incorrect parameters in call to state function between cast 1981, okay, so where we
Yeah,
don't have
without the
a.
digits. I mean the dashes.
Where I did between cast as date, cast as date.
Yeah, me too. First half. I cannot
Parameters in the call. 21, control characters from which we can start. It doesn't look like
This
we
one.
will now. We are okay here.
Updates it to 27 job description.
You can't see anything wrong. Could you just retype that line and see? Not copy, retype. I just said yes, right after the click.
Yes, there's no record.
Oh, no, because like I already deleted it. How do you undo it? Undo?
Yeah,
After you delete, like
everything? You have to rerun the whole script again, right? Or the upper part where you insert it.
Wait,
What is it?
this line has a space in between this one and the bracket while the others don't.
Do you think
So
that's causing a problem? Okay, go back.
maybe.
Maybe you can now just,
We lost.
Wait, do you want to erase
just
this
remove
line?
here and then run only that one.
Try it again.
Yeah. You don't need any space after the next option. That's good to know. I can tell everybody, right?
Okay, so next one was this one here, where this is not how you should do it, but data is on text.
Yeah, you don't want to do it, but, okay, so this is okay. I can now run the whole script. Yep,
So with the line.
yep.
The last one was where we got rid of the values. Okay, good.
There are no errors now, right?
Yeah, our break started 3 minutes ago. Right, okay. And-
12:40.
And we're doing our iCode quiz today. The in-class assignment 3.
We will. After I do a little more stuff, then we will.
Okay, thank you. Just trying to understand the lesson plan. I'll be back as soon as I can.
No.
Oh, yeah, because, she did not know if this connected, so. That's.
You need to run whole script because you change the table division.
Okay, now it's updated.
I will be confused. So,
Okay, it's still a salesman. Okay, how many columns in the list?
Column name is different. Another.
Oh my.
Yes. So you,
Okay, so I mean,
try all the script. You change the
Did you resubmit? Did you resubmit your Java?
I thought I submitted the right thing.
You can always check your own submission, right? You know that.
Yep.
There's you, right?
Yep.
That's inside it.
Yeah, it's classroom.
Of course, I can't mark it, right?
Yep. I uploaded it again. As soon as
Okay,
you sent
good.
it.
Okay. Because I started marking it and you're on the top of the list.
Yeah, I'm the first one. And you realize, yeah, first guy did a
First
mistake.
guy, and I
so
said, oh, yeah,
We're in
no.
for a treat in here.
But the rest was still okay. So I said, I'll tell him because I knew I see you today.
Okay.
So I didn't send you an email. I said, I'll remember to tell him today. Okay, I'll mark it, don't worry.
Nice.
what you do in the Wednesday? You missed one. You missed five.
You both are from CSTN?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's why you sit together. You understand each other better.
I don't know, like I'm starting to regret, like actually not switching to programming in first semester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like I was actually thinking about it.
Do you like it? It's not as easy as this.
I'm sorry, what?
It is not as easy as this.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
I played around with because like I have right as of now I have 2 online classes online. It's Java and Python.
Good.
So like I know.
And you like it?
Oh yeah, like I really do enjoy it, and I know it's not easy at all.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe after doing SQL, it is tough, right?
Yeah.
But the best part is if you can have the combination of both, it's nice.
No, like I just found it not boring. I mean, like CSTN to me is just I don't know, it's just a bit slow.
Mm-hmm. You find it boring?
Yeah.
I haven't done it ever, so I wouldn't know, but I know nothing of it.
I don't know, it's just really slow. I don't know.
Yeah, but programming is always challenging, so you'll never get bored in it. Yeah, but it depends, you don't just do programming. There are so many other courses also you do, and maybe you'll find those boring. Who knows? So think twice, okay? You have not named it properly again. I just said always name your files properly, right? And I see you haven't. See how bad can you guys get? The first one, I don't know. I'm talking about this one. Maybe you were in a hurry. This way, when I save it, I have to kind of put the names with them, okay? Because I'm saving them together. So now I'm doing one by one, so I'm okay. But I download them together so I don't have to be on Blackboard always. So that way it makes my life easy.
Okay, so like you're not gonna be anything. Dude, I'm like, why are you doing this to me, man?
See, somebody else had called it employee. I made it employee Java. So if I don't find names, then it's difficult for me. I mean, it's not as if I can't handle it, but I don't want to waste my time. Okay, they're Java files now.
So like, yeah, but like you gotta be behind them. Yeah, English is not really that hard. All you gotta do is listen to a lot of it. Well, I don't know, like, dude, like I remember the first time I got here, I barely spoke English.
Everyone has their own song. You know that? One example.
So what's the catch on this one? Okay, so like it's still not even possible.
Or the one.
Still a non-issue process, though. I mean, that's the thing.
But they have your
Sorry?
maybe your
No. Like I've tried once, and it didn't work.
you graduate
Okay, I don't know, like from experience, to me, mine it's not, like to me personally, it's not. I mean, because like I took the little thing because like I've actually graduated before. So I've talked to many many professionals and stuff, and they will say, yeah, you are eligible, and it's true. If you actually read everything, I've actually did like many tests just to see if I'm eligible, and yes, I'm above average. Like my English score is good. Not that my grades is almost perfect. So like I am eligible and have a job too, right? Then I applied, I got rejected, and guess what? And guess what? I didn't get it.
Actually, you for this. I think the code of job.
My job would be
Oh, why? I don't understand why.
because of money.
The deposit.
Yeah.
So sorry.
And like okay, when I first heard that, I was like, okay, like that's bad, right? Because like
I understand. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm trying to rationalize everything, right? Even though I was thinking that doesn't make sense, but whatever. And then what really got me mad? Like I know this guy. Still to this day, since 2009, still to this day. This guy, ever since 2009, he's still like, he doesn't have any degrees, he doesn't have
Which one do you want to see?
I'm talking about a lot of money. Like, his house is below European standards, so like I'm assuming it's like 6 or something like that. And he got it in less than a year. And that is just like it's just like the breaking point for me. Okay, so to me, my
This script, I'll do it.
because here's the thing, are you doing this?
Done, Noah?
Okay, like I did all that on my own. And
Okay, thank you. I'll post it on Blackboard so that you all have it.
a lot of my, very good because of that reason. So me and mine, it's not good. To me, you gotta have like a Mount A. lot of money too.
You ask any quotation from the area or something?
You know, I mean, like I don't want to talk about it. I really don't. Like it makes me mad.
They may ask for money, even you got that job.
Bullshit.
It's on Blackboard now. What we did today is now under employee script on Blackboard.
What?
I don't mention about.
Yeah. Well, okay. Like, trust me. Like, I wouldn't have to learn the even I. Yeah. Went to a like from the like once, only once, like nothing but like nothing but and there's something about that stuff like that I don't know. Because you know before I apply on something that big, I always research thoroughly on every system. What are the rules at the moment? Because like rules are always changing. So and again, you know, like they will smile at you, but they will say, "Oh, dude, but you got a really good chance." They will say whatever you want to hear as long as you give them money. And then, you know, when you get rejected, hey, you know, there's nothing I can do. Sorry, they're not gonna fight. So.
Guys, did you remember to send me an email yesterday about the Java assignment? I don't think so. I have it from everybody. I only got 5, and many of you here haven't sent me an email, which means you're not doing the assignment. Can be that, right? Yesterday's Java class, I don't have an email from everybody. So if you've forgotten, please send one, okay?
You know what? I like, you know, like like I used to just have to know, and you know, as of now, I'm just focused on right now, see what happens. Because right now, you know, it's already my last month. So like, I can't really and you know, yes,
So your cast, right, is
The cast doesn't need a blank after the cast. Yeah. But anyway, okay, sorry. What was your question?
so how all my unresolved words are in blue, but that is like isn't blue.
Yeah, because it's
Does
a
that-
function name. It's not a reserve. It's not a command.
Okay.
It's a function or a method, if you like to call it. Yeah,
Okay,
that's why it's in.
because you got it in blue, and I was wondering.
Is it?
Yeah, yours is in blue.
I'm hoping right now it's a lot better.
Everywhere that I use that.
Because everything used to be
It
random.
could be something to do with the setting and all function names. It's just a color code.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a, maybe it's a function. That's why.
But because of the struggle, the struggle that randomness, they got. Oh no, like I only get frustrated like when I'm thinking about it. But no, it's not good. No, it's not good. No, but you know, I only get frustrated when I'm thinking about it. When I'm actually thinking. Otherwise, it doesn't bother me anymore. It used to bother me a lot. But yeah, man, I mean, hopefully you know, for you, it's the skill set. I mean, you know, like the worst case scenario for me is to go.
Okay, guys, let's take another. Can I have your attention, please? Let's take another 15 minutes to quickly talk about primary key. You've been doing primary keys. We've kind of selected a field from a table, always a single field. We haven't yet talked about composite primary keys, but we've been able to find a unique field in the table that works. Not so good with donuts table, if you remember. We said we'll use donut name as the primary key, but we said, you know what, donut names will be unique in a particular, like in a particular company, if you're working for Timmy's or if you're working for Starbucks or whatever, like if it is a different company, those names will be unique. So it was not the best one. Now donuts won't usually have an ID associated with them. So you'll say, what do I make the key? So now let's talk about how you create a primary key in a table that may not have a field that automatically works like a primary key. So what do you do? And many programmers actually prefer this way because they're saying we're not relying on the table fields at all. We don't even bother about them. We just create a field whose only job is to act like a primary key and work with it. That way, if things change in your table, if your values are no longer unique in a particular field or whatever that you had made a primary key, you're stuck with it. Because remember, once made a primary key, you can't change it. You can't say, oh, no, this is not my primary key. So many programmers prefer to do it this way. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a very small table so that we can do it very quickly. I'm creating, I mean, the usual I'll do. I'll set the environment and so on and whatever. And I'll create a table. Just because I want to show you. Till now, we've always had some way of, oops, what did I do? I can't remember what I did. Okay. Right. So I'm going to create a database with a table therein. So I'll just call it table info just because there's not much it's not a very useful one. It's just to show you something. And a DB info. This way, you know, with this way, I should stop writing the names that way. Okay. There. Right. So the aim is just to show you how to work with an auto increment primary key. So in my table, I'm just going to, so it's not bad habit. I should just not write any names here. I'll create a table called table info. As I said, I'm not at my best behavior of naming fields, but okay. Okay, here we are. Right. So my set environments, again, you may not need it at all. I'm not going to do any updates here. So this one is definitely not required. I'm not sure. Oh, Bradley is not here. There he is. I can't. If this is giving an error, should we use single quotes or double quotes or both work? I don't know. Bradley, both quotes seem to be working in strict all tables. Remember, I said maybe only double works, but single seem to be working too. So we are okay. So that was not the error anyway. Okay, let's create the table. Oops, TBL. Okay, there. So what I've done in this script is, as I said, the main aim is just to show you how to work with auto increment primary keys, something we haven't done till date. And also I'll repeat that this is your first step to normalization, to good designing of tables. Remember, designing of tables is important. That is more important. The first step is designing your tables, and then you write the application over it. That's how it uses it. So designing is an important principle of database creation and everything. And the first rule is first normal form. Your table must be at least in the first normal form, if nothing else. So of that part of the first normal form, we've been using it. I've been using primary keys in the last two tables. I had one in employees. Employee ID was a good enough field. It's unique. It's not null. And in the donuts table, I had used donut name, not the best one, but still there. Now, let's try to see if I can have a field in here. So let's create this table TBL employee info. And you tell me what can act as a primary key, if any, in this table. I'm going to have a first name, which will be, as you know, a varchar will do for it. And 30 or 40 is more than enough. If you want to go 40, it's not a big deal. And it will have a last name in it. Last names are usually bigger than first names, but not necessarily. And that's it. What field in this table can act as a primary key? Suppose this is the only information I want to keep. A list of my students. That's all. Maybe I want to refer to it. It's a way I'm learning their names or whatever. And I want to save it in a database. Can you think of any of these fields acting like a primary key? No. First names can be duplicate. Last names can be duplicate. The combination, you'll say, oh, the combination may not be duplicate, but it could be, right? It could be. So with donut name, I kind of went with the name as the primary key because donut names in a particular company will not repeat. But here, single fields are not working and the combination is not working. What you can do in such a table where you can't find a primary key is this. And as I said, many programmers just do it because they find it to be much easier. They will create a primary key. It's usually called ID. You can call it whatever you like, right? ID for identification, right? They will create a primary key automatically. They'll request the system, the database engine, to do it automatically for them. So the type has to be int. I think any int does, short, long, whatever. But the type has to be int. You have to say that it is an auto increment field. And this is how you say it. Exactly like I'm writing, like I'm writing it. And you're requesting that I need a field, which is, it has to be an integer, can't be anything else, because it's a number. Auto increment can only work with numbers. I mean, you can say, oh, create a varchar automatic field, because what will it do? ABCD, like, you know what I mean? Like, what will it do? This is how it has to be created, and make it the primary key. And that way, every record will automatically have a field with a pre-assigned value. So the first record that you add will get a primary key ID of 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and it will go on and on. If you delete records, that number is not used again. You can reuse. So if you're deleting records and there are some records got deleted, it may not be in sequence. Like, you know what I mean? You may lose some numbers, but it will be unique and not null automatically. You don't have to worry about it. So now, and insertion of records will be normal. You don't have to worry. Let's try to do it. So what you have done here is you've created a table with it's called an auto increment primary key. And by default, the values in this field will be null, not null, and unique. Keep in mind, not null and unique values. It will automatically do it. Try doing it now. Let's try to insert some records. Let's insert some records. Yes.
2 quick questions, ma'am. One, if we're creating a database for info, shouldn't it be db_info?
That's the one I'm using it, and thank you. So database exists. I made the change in wrong place. That's what I did. Thank you.
What's the full description for our purpose?
Sorry, come again.
What's the full description for our purpose?
All I'm saying is to work with an auto increment primary key. So I'm creating a database with a table therein that stores names. I'm storing names. Okay. I don't. Yeah, that's all I did, because as I said, this is just an example to show you. Sorry, I don't know why I changed those names. So all databases have to use the convention, if you're using it, have to use the DB convention, and that's what I'm sticking to. And then the tables have the TBL. Okay, now let's insert some records. Now let's see, how do I insert records? Remember your insert statement? Insert into the name of the table. And till now, we've always kind of left it empty. I've said, you don't have to if you insert everything. But now you cannot insert ID yourself. Let's see what MySQL does. In some databases, you cannot insert it. It will give you an error because you've said that it is an auto increment field. MySQL behaves a little differently. But when you do this, you should not be inserting the value of ID yourself. So let's see what happens. Insert the first name and the last name. So remember, whenever I have to insert fields, not all fields, but some fields, then I have to give my field list. Okay, so start inserting. Okay, so you can do whatever you like. I'm just going with the names that I know. You can, of course, do whatever you like. So just insert some names, some records, okay? Use whatever names you like. These are just names. I'll go Jared. What's Jared's last name? Right. We can go Ross. I'm just, as I said, do whatever, as long as they are two varchar fields. And let's stop at that. Oops, forgot my brackets. There. And of course, to see what doesn't it like now here. What else have I missed here? What else have I missed here? So when you insert records, you insert all one record at a time and as many fields as you say here in the same order. Don't forget that, not all records. So not all first names and all last names, but the first name and the last name for every record. So you're inserting rows in a table. You insert rows. You don't insert columns. You know what I mean? You insert rows. Now let's do a display the data. You all know that command too. It's select star, oops, select star and from, and your table name is table info. And now see the use of the primary key. So run the script, save it wherever you want to and run the script. What happened? Ross Bigelow is creating a problem. Oh, because I forgot my comma. There he is. There it is. Look at the table. You did not insert anything into the ID field, but it automatically started with 1, and then it went to 2, then 3, then 4, and it will keep going on like this. That's the use of an auto increment field. So you definitely need a primary key in a table. It's your first rule. You definitely need a primary key in a table. If you cannot find a field or a combination of fields in the table that can act as a primary key, then this is the most easiest and widespread way of doing it. And many programmers, as I mentioned, prefer it, then they don't even have to bother. It doesn't matter what's in the table, right? This field, of course, doesn't belong to the table. It's not related in the sense that it is telling you anything. There's no information in it, but it is an identifying field. And if you don't touch it, you don't mess with it, it never goes down. You can always start from 100 or 200 if you like. I do it when I do my altered table statement. So instead of starting from 1, if you wanted to start from 100 or 200 or whatever, there is an altered table statement that allows you to do. But you're safe. You don't have to think about it. It's not your data. It will never change, right? Why am I saying it? Suppose I had an employee ID and I made it, suppose this was my employee table and I made it my primary key. In future, for whatever reason, though it's not possible, for whatever reason, if that field now does not have unique values, then it cannot act as a primary key anymore. And then you can change your mind. Oh, I won't have this, but I'll have an auto increment. You can change primary keys. So therefore, many programmers, irrespective of whether they can find a primary key in a table, they go with this approach where they say, okay, this is the field. Usually it is called ID. You could call it anything because it's identifying a record. It will automatically be unique and it will automatically be not null. It won't. Now, that's its definition. That's what an auto increment field is. It has to be an integer. Now, that's the general criterion to work with an auto increment field. Now, MySQL behaves a little differently. For example, so it's called a few variations. I would keep away from it and let auto increment take care of itself. And that's the easiest. That's the best way. Don't worry about it. That was the main reason you created it. You didn't want to worry about it. So where's my word wrap? Toggle. There it is, right? So let's try a few variations, keep away and let auto increment field be taken care of, right? Don't do it. I wouldn't recommend, but I'm showing you some variations. Let me try to insert a record here. So now I can enter duplicate names because name is not my field. Two persons can have the same name, but that's not what I'm trying to show you. Just because I've copied it, I'll put an ID here. And let me try to give an ID of 3, which is already being used by somebody to, I'll just change my name. I'll make it shorter, right? and try to do this. Let's see if it works. And of course, I'll need a semicolon. Let's see what MySQL does about it. It's a duplicate key. I've already used 3. 3 is being already used, and I'm doing it again. Now let's see what it does. Make sense? It says you can do it. 3 is already a key. So that's why I say keep away from it. Don't do things with it that you may go wrong with. Now so this won't happen. This can be done. So you can kind of, if you like, you keep away from it. Now let's see what happens if I try to do this. Primary key by default. If you want, I can kind of leave those examples alone. But it doesn't make sense. You can do this. So that, of course, makes sense. Primary keys have to be unique. That makes sense. Okay, so you can kind of, since it will create problems for me, I'm going to put it in. It will give me syntax errors. Now let me try to do this. Let me try to do this and see what happens in MySQL. The best way is to just keep away. But let's see, how does this behave? I'm using the reserved word null, not the text null. Okay, it can be text anyway. Let's try this. Let's try to run the script again. So this one makes sense. I can't use 3 because 3 was already used. Let's try this.
So I can see the comments.
You please comment it, because otherwise your script won't run, right? Okay, let's run it again. It says, oh, I did it. You'll say null wasn't allowed. How did it do it? Now. Oh, no. Do I have an error? It never got added, that means. Let me see. Did I highlight it? No. Okay, let's try it again. I think I ran the whole script. Do you see it? No, it never got added. So now because different databases behave differently, I would just say leave it alone. And this may not be how it works in Oracle. It may not be. Right? It may just give it the next key automatically, like 5, and say, oh, you said null cannot happen, and I give it 5. And MySQL used to behave that way. So you never know what will happen. Like this record, it's not giving me a syntax error. It says one row is effective. I see, oh, you know what? It is still doing it. It is still doing it. Do you know where the problem is? My select statement is at the top. It is still behaving how it should not behave. I'm thinking, how can they improve it so quickly? Here, try this. There's no select statement at the end. I didn't see an error. So, and it said inserted. Notice it says inserted. And see what it did. That's not the right behavior, but it did it. It should have told me you can put null in the primary key. Primary keys cannot be null. So MySQL is behaving this way, but Oracle may not behave this way. DB2 may not behave this way. So there is no, like the standard rule says, an auto increment primary key, don't touch this. That's what it says. But SQL is behaving, and I'm showing you where it can behave differently. What did it do? It automatically gave it the next, right? That means, will it also allow me to do this? Can I insert a record myself? It's an auto increment. It should tell, don't do it. But can I do this? I'm going to try again. This time I'm going to not put null, but going to put 100. 100 is a valid value. There is nothing wrong in 100. But, and it's a valid name, right? So let's try this now. I'm saying make it 100. 100 is a valid value for an integer field, but I'm kind of taking control of the auto increment field. Let's try that again. And it says, oh, okay, I'll give you 100. I'm okay. But the best way, as I said, the best way is to do it right. Now what will happen when I try to insert another record? So let's pick up this again. So all you can add whatever you like. I'm just doing this because it's easy. So instead of and, can I go just and? I think and doesn't have an E anyway. And it has an E. Okay, so let's try this one now. And not give it an ID. I'm going back to my normal. Oh, okay, I changed my mind. I'm not going to control it. Let the system do it itself. Let's see what happens. And notice. It went to 1, 2, 3, 4. The null one was replaced by 5. I gave it 100 for init, and now it has gone to 101. It missed all that was in it. So if you start controlling an auto increment field, then in due time you'll forget, oh, what was I doing? Did I use 100? Did I not use 100? You know what I mean? So leave it alone. It is an auto increment field. It will auto increment on its own. As you delete records, that particular key will not be used again. You say, oh, that's wasting this. But wasting, I mean, you have ints that can go in any range. Like the range is big. You can even use long int. Like there's no dearth of records. So, and that's how SQL is behaving for your information. Null is working, just replaces it by a value. You can change the auto increment field key to whatever you like, and it starts to auto increment after that. And as I say, standard, forget about it. And that's how you use a prime. That is the whole purpose of using an auto increment key. I don't want to think about it, right? I don't want to control it. But that's the behavior for you for MySQL. If you have access to another database like Oracle or DB2, I don't have it anymore. If you have it, try it and see what happens. But this is the behavior of MySQL. So of course, duplicate I cannot add anyway. I cannot, because it doesn't make sense at all. But even this doesn't make sense to me. This should not have happened. It should have given me a syntax error. It just didn't. It just didn't. So I'll just kind of keep that in comments, because of course that cannot be done at all. But these ones are variations. I'm trying to insert null, it works. I'm trying to insert 100 and it works. And then it was smart enough, if you want to call it smart enough, to go from 100 to 101. So this is the behavior of auto increment primary keys in MySQL. And the use is as simple as this. The table now is in the first normal form. Every record has a unique identifying field. The problem could come with select. You'll say, now if it is something randomly, 1, 2, 3, 4, they're random numbers, and I want to select a record, then it's difficult. Selecting a record on employee ID or student ID is easier. But selecting a record on ID is kind of like not so logical. You know what I mean? Like now I have to know the ID field of a particular record. But many programmers still prefer it. Me personally, I think if you can find a field in a table, I would go ahead with it, because I know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? But if I wanted to now find Anju Chawla has no identification except 1. And the 1 is not related to the data at all. But that's what it is. That's what auto increment is. Okay? So you can have 1. You may use 1, even if you have another field that is good enough candidate for a primary key. And as I said, many people prefer it. So please go and read a little about primary keys and see their use and what they mean and why people are preferring to use it and what are its drawbacks and so on. Okay, so it's up to you. Yes, Brandon.
Yes, I tried doing the last insert into without any number for the value, but instead of creating a ID 101, it didn't run the line I created it, because the column count doesn't match the value count of row 1.
Yeah, because I removed the word ID from here. You didn't remove it.
Oh.
Right? You're saying I'm going to add 3 fields and you didn't remove the field. I had to remove it because I was only adding 2. Okay, so that's the behavior.
Thank you.
No problem. So that's the behavior. Now, if you say, okay, I create a table and I forget to create a primary key, can I do it afterwards? Yes, you can do it. And we'll learn how to do it next week. That's all alter table statements I'll do next week. But now you know actually, now you at least know that if I can find the primary key in a table, how do I do it? So the definition, the official definition of a table in the first normal form is, the table must have a primary key and all fields must be atomic in nature. Atomic means cannot be broken down or need not be broken down. A bank may require address in different fields, city, country, province, and so on. Whereas Domino's doesn't require that. The company, the shop only serves maybe within 3 kilometers. They won't ask you, are you living in Barrie or are you living in Brampton? You know what I mean? Or are you calling from Canada or are you calling from US? That doesn't matter to a pizza shop, but to a bank it does matter, because people can live wherever they want. So a bank will take an address field and break it down. It will say maybe city, it will say maybe country, it will say whatever province, but a pizza guy will not even bother to do that. All he needs is maybe information about his customers, so that when the customer calls again and says, oh, here is my name, he can search quickly in the table and say, oh, there you are, is that your address? Okay, write address and go on. Like you go to a walk-in clinic, they ask you, of course they see your card, but if your data is already in there, and if you say your name or something or a phone number, they can recognize. Okay, so a table is said to be in the first normal form if it has a primary key, and that's the minimum, guys, first normal form, and every field is atomic in nature. And atomic in nature means that field cannot be broken down. Can you break down a last name field? No, it just has one value. Can you break down a first name field? No, it just has one value. But the students table that you created with favorite sites as your field when you created your first table, that is not in the first normal form. One, it did not have a primary key, and two, there was a field called favorite sites which was not atomic in nature. You had data of the same nature. They're all sites. You're talking about sites in it, right? So that's our first normal form. I'll do normalization when you come back after your reading break, but this table is in your first normal form. Keep that in mind. Actually, all tables except the first one we've done are all in first normal form. Let's see, is this in first normal form? There is an employee number, an employee name. Now you can kind of say, oh, name. That's not atomic. It can be broken down, first name and last name. But as I said, sometimes you don't have to, you don't need to. It's not required by the database at all to break it down. Even when we say it's atomic in nature. In the sense, atomic because there is no repeating fields in it. I mean, the first name and the second name don't have a repetition, whereas favorite sites have repetition, like there are repetitive nature. But first name and last name are not. So the table should have a primary key and every field must be atomic in nature. That's the definition of first normal. Keep that in mind. I've been using it for the last 2 weeks, but we've always chosen a field from the table. This was to show you that it can be done automatically. If you can't think of anything, just add an auto increment field. Should be integer. It has to be a number. And I think all integers work, small, long, and so on. Try to check. I think they all work. And don't manipulate it. Don't try to manipulate it. Let it be. And it will take care of itself, right? Okay, so that take is something I wanted to mention because I've been doing it, but I haven't used an auto increment field at all. Now, your job today is to go to Blackboard